Hello and welcome everyone to Marriage Redeemed, Marriage Sustained, and we are in 2021. This is Leah Chikumbindi, and I'm with my husband, Joshua Solo Chikumbindi, and we're excited to be coming to you this year and continuing with our Marriage Redeemed Marriage Sustained journey where we share our testimony of our marriage. Do you want to add on to that?
Not really, but I'm just excited that we are into 2021, and so I'm praying that this year we will have a lot of things going on. I don't know what are your expectations this year, then? What do you think we're going to be doing as far as marriage redeemed, marriage sustained?
I get excited about sharing our journey with the world, mainly because it's a testimony. It's our real life, and God has given us an opportunity that we can share with all the people who are married, people who are single, people who are searching, older people, because we are still growing as a couple. Even though we've been together for 24 years now, this year is going to be our 25th year. 25th year. So I know there is always something that we learn.
How come it looks like we just started it yesterday?
Because God is so good. He's always renewing us spiritually, renewing us as a couple, and there's always something to learn on our journey. And talking of last year, we started off last year as well, and like you said, and but our plans are always not God's plans, but we plan how our life we wanted to go, and the pandemic hit, and we found ourselves in areas of isolation, as a family. We found ourselves having to forego some things, activities and things like that. So that's when we knew that we heard God saying, this is the time to start with this journey. So it's been quite an amazing journey. So now going into 2021, I have learned something in 2020 that I had not learned before. 2021 is I'm learning to take it a day at a time. But at the same time, even though I have to take it a day at a time, I still have to plan that, okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve in 2021? But after having to go through what we have gone through in 2020, which actually rolled over to 2021, the pandemic is still here. We're still dealing with that, all these life changes. So I learned to take a day at a time, appreciate each and every minute of life, and appreciate what we have, because I do miss being in a group where we can worship. I do miss visiting with friends. I do miss visiting with families. But there's a reason why God has set it this way. So while I'm in it, I want to appreciate every moment and enjoy that and learn from Him. And this is what is important to us, me and you, that we are doing this, and that has brought us together very close. I would say more than before. Right. Because we're in each other's space most of the time. When we go anywhere, we are going together. So yeah, that's kind of my part, is like taking it a day at a time. How about you?
Yeah, there's something I've learned from horses. When you have horses, and I'm going to connect that to marriage and the time we have been through. Confinement sometimes can either lead you to growth, or it can lead you to strife, or it can lead you to boredom. When we talk about confinement. What I learned with horses is it's impossible for you to bond with a horse when it's in the field, just always in the field. But there's a time when you can bring that horse to the barn. And that horse might not really want to be in an enclosure. But what you can do as an owner of that horse is you can begin to show it that you can feed it in that barn, and you can brush it, and sometimes you can go ahead and clean its hooves and stuff like that. There's a lot of holding, just feeling, the hands. There's something connection. Yes, there's something powerful about handling, about holding, that I learned with horses. And so the more you do that with a horse when it's in the barn, the more you find that by the time when you release it into the field, when it finds you coming to the field, it's going to run to you, because it feels you're about to do what you do it to it when it's in the barn. But if you don't have a bond with your horse in the barn, it's gonna be hard for you to catch it in the field. When you call it, it's not gonna know you. It doesn't want you to. It want to be taken back into captivity. This last year was almost like we were all scattered doing our own things, and we didn't have much hours together. But we find ourselves coming back to be together for many hours. And I tell you what, we don't know yet how much we are gonna be facing these lockdowns. It's gonna happen. But what I've learned is that if you cannot be able to bond now, it can be very hard to bond after when things are well. Because it's not really spacing that you're seeking or looking for. You're looking for what do you do for each other when you're together? How do you feel when you are together? If you are a family, you have children, how are your children communicating being together? Even when they are grown, how are your children communicating to each other? If, let's say, your children are now teenagers, it's no longer the time for you as a parent to be there to stop them from fighting, arguing, and this. But it is really the time when you should be enjoying to see the relationship between your children. If they are little ones, I think it's also a time when you can really see that the little one has a friend. If, let's say, there's the brother or a sister, they play together, and how long they can play together, how they share together. This last year I really enjoyed a lot being with my wife, and I think some of the things I enjoyed doing together with you, honey, was cleaning dishes together. Just standing in the kitchen and cleaning dishes and having fun and playing together and stuff like that. When it's your wife, even when your wife is elsewhere, your wife should be able to be identified that it is your wife. Even when your husband is somewhere else, your husband should be identified that it's your husband. Isaac and his wife. It's such a powerful story that I really never looked at him. Isaac and his wife Rebecca. The gospel says this: the Philistine king Abimelech king of the Philistines, looked down from a window and saw Isaac caressing his wife, Rebecca. Thank you, sir. One of the things I've learned is this. If husband and wife, you barely play together, you don't, in your free time, you don't touch each other, you don't play together, you don't pull each other, you don't chase each other, something is missing. Because there is always something. We're not talking just about sexually, but we're talking about friendship, having people who are in a relationship playing the play of people who are in a relationship. Can you imagine that the enemy Isaac has told the Philistines king that she's my sister. But then he looks through the window and sees Isaac caressing his wife or holding his wife. And it made the enemy understand that, oh, that's his wife. Because there are things that when you don't do, it's your wife. And you don't want to do those things. You don't want to hold your wife's hand. You don't want to hold each other. You don't want to do some certain things. Even in public, it tends not to establish you as husband and wife. I'm talking about enemies. When you're dealing with an enemy, sometimes you got to do things that make your enemy know that it's his wife, and it deters the enemy. It's the same thing with a field. Let's say you have animals, you have horses. You barely see him touching your horse. That horse is always ever in that field, and nobody ever sees you with that horse. They don't know it's your horse. That doesn't establish it's your horse. So there are things that we should personally appear in presence to establish that this is his. This belongs to him. If you look at the gospel, you even see how sometimes in the gospel, certain kings, they will have, feasts and they are having a great time. But at the end, that king will remember something precious in his life. And you know what it was? His wife. And say, go bring King Vashti, because I want these people to see my beautiful wife. Because it's the pride of a man. When you are a man and you have a wife, and that pride of you having that wife is no longer there, that means there's time for you to be able to work it out, find out why. Because she's my flower. When I'm looking at Leah, when I see Leah, there are times where I feel like somebody must know my wife. Oh, I can't wait for you to meet my wife. I would like you to meet my wife. Because she's my pride. If it is your children, you should have the same thing too. You should feel that desire. You should feel that love for your children. That you'd like people to meet your children. You'd like people to see your children. Because there's something you have invested in them, and you are seeing God's hand working in them. Does it make sense? So these are things that I feel during this lockdown and during the war time in 2020, I had between my wife that we had a lot of times when we spend a lot of time together. We watched so many movies together. We we listened to a lot of sermons. We laughed at a lot of jokes. We shared a lot of jokes on the phone. Wherever I am, she's sending me a joke. I'm sending a joke. We shared a lot of wisdom together on the phone. Our communication has been very positive, and that has helped us spiritually. It has helped us. Now, I pray and I hope you are also experiencing that, and I know some of you are doing more than this, because I know there are a lot of great dads there and a lot of great mothers out there and good husbands there and good wives out there, and I tell you what, it's a blessing to be that way, because God wants us to be that way. I don't know if do you have any other things you would like to add on to it?
No, I think you did great. It has been a great time of bonding, and I cannot think of any other best time that I can ever have than what we have already had. We have grown, we have learned to communicate better, and it's been amazing. It's been really amazing. You were talking about how even in this space, how our kids will be playing together, and you watch how they are sharing, because they're in this place of confinement, so they have to make life happen. Would you like to share what you have experienced as far as our children are concerned? Because I'm going to share a little bit. He's very good at putting the biblical aspect of everything and also relating it to our life. But I have gotten an opportunity to really spend time with our kids. Because especially the older ones, even though, they're grown and gone, into their respective areas of purpose, is we have had more times of where they would come back. We are together, in the same space. And especially our son, who was always gone most of the time, he would be with his friends, and also when the world was open, that would be gone. But I would say at this point, a lot is closed. So we find each other in the same space, and I've been able to have more time of communicating with them, hearing what's happening in their lives and their friends, which is, you only get as much as they can give you. Some of the things you just have add on your own, okay, this is as much as we are getting, but these are young adults that we have. So it has been really a blessing to be able to hear them, what they are going through in this time. They want to be with their friends a lot. And I mean, like today, you were talking to Joshua. I was there too. We were talking to Joshua, and about how to remember that we're still in a pandemic. It's hard for the kids, honestly. It's really hard.
I think one of the statements that I was so grateful to hear our son say was, because I was saying to him, I say, son, I want you to understand that we are in a very difficult time now. We are having a lot of cases. So it's not time for you to be reckless or to be wild out there. I think one of the statements our son said, he said, Dad, I have been doing my best. I have not been as wild as other things I've seen out there. There are statements that when our children speak to us, that it's not really about just the fact or the point that you want to talk to them. But you must be able to, once they are grown up, you must no longer just sit with them in a setting of whereby you want to implement, you want to tell them what you want. But you should be able to listen also to the efforts that they are doing, and be able to empower them from the efforts that they have shared with you. Than you feeling or thinking like, no, what you're telling me is not enough. I need more. But when your son tells you whatever he tells you, even sometimes it doesn't sound like it's true, but believing them sometimes can help them to be more positive than you being more negative to them. I think children, this generation that we are raising today, is a generation of children who are so much, they are more intelligent than we are. I don't know if you agree with me. They're smarter. The things they know today, they've learned, they are learning so much things, so many things within a short space of time.
Right.
And so we for us to catch up, we are trailing behind to the things these children know and some of the things these children are doing. But we must be able to maintain and remain with the respect, so that your children can trust you, so that they can be able to be open to mom and dad, to tell mom and dad about the challenges they are facing. I think one of the things that I really loved during this season of a difficult time is that Josh knows that if he comes home, there's food. He'll call his mom, "Mom, I'm coming home this afternoon, or I'm coming home at such a time."
He says, like, "I'm pulling up."
Or "I'm pulling up." He says, "I'm pulling up." And many times when he comes into the house, he says, "I'm starving." He goes right straight to the kitchen. And you know what? That part is very important for a home. It's very important for a home. If your children don't find that to be the difference between where they live, sometimes when they face challenges out there, then they have no reason of why they should come back home. Because home there is not something that they feel can bring a difference to them. So they should be able to feel that if I go home, there is peace. If there is problems out there, they should be able to feel and have that guarantee that if I go home, mom and dad will welcome me in any condition, in any state. That can, do you know, this feeling is so important because it can bring a homeless man home.
Right.
It can bring a homeless woman home. If they can know that if I go home, I'll be accepted. We're talking about, you remember the story of the prodigal son. If suppose the father had nothing in abundance, because that is what drew the son back home to the father. It says, the gospel says when he came to his senses, he said, "Oh, my father has abundance of this that I'm lacking here." He says his servants, my dad's servants, actually eat better than what I'm having here. He said, "Let me go back home to my dad." And we see that when he came to the father, he actually asked, "Let me be your servant." And the reason why he offered, "Let me be your servant," is because he knew that his dad's servants had a fine life, had a good life, that he wished he could be one of the servants. And we know the father said, no, the father took that son and poured his compassion on the son and welcomed the son. And we know everything that the father did, that he put up a party for the son. We as parents, we should never cease to pour those parties of compassion to our children, because we are raising them up. As we are raising them up, they may fail, they may face challenges, but always we must continue to look at them with positively, that it's my son, it's my daughter. Wherever they are, they should always know, if I go home, there's food. Wherever they are, they should know that if I don't have bathing soap, if I go home, I can say to mom, till the month end, can I have bathing soap? Mom, can I have toothpaste? They should be able to know that, Mom, can I sleep? Or can I sleep over tonight? Mom, can I spend a week here? I'm not saying it's about taking back your kids from where they are growing, but I'm saying the support of raising children is very critical, especially these days. Very important. Another thing that I would like to point out before I hand it over to you, sweetheart, is that on Christmas, our children took over. Both the three kids, Josh, Millie, and Rachel, they took over the Christmas by them organizing and saying, Mom and Dad, we're going to tell you what we're going to do for Christmas. So they decided that we would do gift exchange. Secret Santa. And that, oh my God, we had a good time. We had an awesome time. The best thing that I witnessed between our children in the gifting, what is it that you find?
They sacrificed to give whatever, because this is how it was, the Secret Santa. You just write whatever you want for Christmas and put it in the pot, and the person who is going to pick your name, they are the ones who are going to buy the gift. You all know that. So it was that they were whatever each one picked for the other. They would work hard to get that gift, and but all three of them, none of them picked a cheap gift. I was the cheapest, actually. You were expensive too, but everybody got what they wanted. They were looking into where that gift is, and putting it together. And one thing that I really loved was, they all three of them, they did their best. We have Rachel, who is into music. And she wanted the electric guitar. Is it electric guitar?
Yes.
She put that that is the electric guitar there for Secret Santa, and her Secret Santa was Joshua. And Joshua worked hard to get that electric guitar. He did. And then he fell sick the following week anyway, not from working out, but just, he had strep throat. But he was running around looking for that guitar, and it was so beautiful when he ended up having to present that gift to his sister. But what we have learned is they satisfy each other by fulfilling each other's requests. They bond, they plan. We have come from the point where we are the ones who are being the Secret Santa. We get caught putting things under the tree, but you can see how everything has changed, and they are growing, and they are appreciating each other, appreciating family, sacrificing for each other. and it was amazing. And then at the end also, even though there was not only Secret Santa, they still bought gifts for everyone. Each one would buy gifts for everyone. It was amazing. It was a beautiful experience. I kind of like realized, oh, okay, we are aging.